shift toward more just, sustainable, democratic, and innovative societies. They highlight a transformative narrative that prioritizes equity, environmental justice, collective well-being, and the effective participation of all people. Far from being mere aspirations, these visions serve as ethical and strategic horizons that guide present action toward the construction of desirable futures.
Las visiones organizacionales al 2045 coinciden en plantear un cambio sistémico hacia sociedades más justas, sostenibles, democráticas e innovadoras. Se destaca una narrativa transformadora que prioriza la equidad, la justicia ambiental, el bienestar colectivo y la participación efectiva de todas las personas. Lejos de ser meros deseos, estas visiones funcionan como horizontes éticos y estratégicos que orientan la acción presente en la construcción de futuros deseables.
Organizational visions for 2045 converge on the need for a systemic shift toward more just, sustainable, democratic, and innovative societies. They highlight a transformative narrative that prioritizes equity, environmental justice, collective well-being, and the effective participation of all people. Far from being mere aspirations, these visions serve as ethical and strategic horizons that guide present action toward the construction of desirable futures.
Las visiones organizacionales al 2045 coinciden en plantear un cambio sistémico hacia sociedades más justas, sostenibles, democráticas e innovadoras. Se destaca una narrativa transformadora que prioriza la equidad, la justicia ambiental, el bienestar colectivo y la participación efectiva de todas las personas. Lejos de ser meros deseos, estas visiones funcionan como horizontes éticos y estratégicos que orientan la acción presente en la construcción de futuros deseables.
Eight years left to end poverty and hunger, to halve global emissions. It didn't start out as planned. We're not moving in the right direction. Years of progress lost in the pandemic. Escalating conflicts, climate breakdown. So where are we now? For decades, we successfully fought poverty. Now it's on the rise, again. 1 out of 10 suffer from hunger, more people than ever forced out of their homes. Climate disasters increasing. Droughts alone estimated to displace 700 million people by 2030. This year, CO2 emissions hit a new record. At this rate, annual emissions will be 14% higher in 2030. Meanwhile, fossil energy receives $700 billion in subsidies from governments.
Your government.
Safe water and sanitation not made accessible fast enough. Progress must quadruple to cover all people by 2030. Women are held back at all levels. At this pace, by 2030, 825 million children won't have secondary level education. Human rights, health, and equality all hurt in the wake of war and disaster, disrupted economies, food and energy crisis, and galloping costs of living damage global solidarity. Everything interconnected. Everyone intertwined. Business as usual won't cut it. Even though we made progress before, going back to pre-pandemic ways is not enough. We need a new paradigm built on the pillars of our 17 goals. Rethink conventions, flip the orthodoxies. Governments, organizations, corporations, citizens of the world, snap out of it. It's time for bold climate action. To act for women and girls, for social justice and inclusion. Scale up the transition to renewable energy. Create 85 million green jobs. Phase out fossil fuel subsidies and tax carbon. $2.8 trillion. Keep your promises. Support developing nations. Write off debts. Free up $1 trillion for climate resilience, people and communities. $500 billion for Africa to achieve universal energy access by 2030. Commit to a circular economy now. New resilient food systems. They can cut waste by 17%. Strengthen domestic financial institutions. Make insurance and banking accessible to everyone. Scale up the digital transformation to educate the 1.6 billion kids who missed school in the pandemic. Educate girls, including the 130 million not in school now. Ensure women's equal share of decision-making. Eliminate discrimination against female workers and boost productivity by 40%. We cannot afford to leave anyone behind. We have a to-do list. We have the resources. 8 years to reach our goals. We're on this planet together, so let's work together. Let's get the list done.
Hello, everyone. It is with great pleasure that we warmly welcome you to this unofficial side event of the 2025 HLPF, entitled Within Multi-Stakeholder Governance Lessons from the South. My name is Alejandra Gutierrez, and I am very honored to be moderating the session through Marvel, Mexico. This space is being jointly organized by representatives from Chile, Colombia, Nepal, South Africa, and international organizations. And based on the registrations that we received from your organizations, we are going to have a very rich discussions because you bring forward topics such as the education projects from the local ground, from the communities, gender equality, among others. So I'm sure that we will have very interesting and representative discussions. Over the next 90 minutes, we will learn about multi-stakeholder governance experiences related to sustainable development and the 2030 agenda from the Global South. And our aim is not only to share this progress, but also reflect on the challenges and future pathways beyond 2030, starting with opening remarks, going on into the national experiences, and then to a breakout rooms. Si solamente hablan español, favor de poner ES en su nombre para poder asignarnos en esta parte de los breakout rooms a un grupo que se habla solamente en español. And in this breakout rooms, all other participants that are not only Spanish speaking, you will be assigned to English speaking groups. Now, we begin this session with the opening remarks. Our first opening remark person is not here because of Wi-Fi and technical issues. So I don't know, Charles, if you want to give some opening remarks on his instead of him.
Good start. If you don't bother probably you hear a lot of background music. I am in the bar of my hotel in New York City, and that is the only place where I could get good internet. Is it okay, or is it too much background noise?
Feels perfectly. So Charles is part of the stakeholder for a sustainable future, and thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Okay, just a few minutes, a few things. So indeed, I'm since 1 month the chair of Stakeholder Forum for a Sustainable Future. Stakeholder Forum is, you could say, a connector between stakeholders and intergovernmental processes of the UN. So a linking pin between stakeholders and governments. I have myself a background of 40 years working in governments in Europe, the European Commission, but also in the country Netherlands and at provincial level. And my specialization became governance. And governance is, if you say that policy is what you do, governance is how you do it. Very simple distinction. So governance is how you do things, and how you do it also with stakeholders. So all countries have a different political culture, you could say, a background and different history, and that makes also that they have different ways of engaging stakeholders. In most countries, the administration is usually thinking in a top-down style, a hierarchical style, and stakeholders are only informed, are not really involved in things. In other countries, the administration is used to a more collaborative style of working, and then you can get real dialogues. And some other countries, the government is more focused on efficiency, and then stakeholder involvement should be very efficient. Well, all the different types of engagements, there are also different governance mechanisms and different governance frameworks for different ways. And that, so in some cases, multi-stakeholder involvement means getting everybody involved, and in the other case, it means getting everybody on board and make co-decision. What is also important that it's also a matter of mindset and skills. If you want governments to listen better, to work with stakeholders, you have to understand how that works, and that creates that needs a different stakeholder, different mindset than is normally available. Also on the side of stakeholders, if stakeholders are used to be lobbyists, that is a different mindset than when you become a partner and also become co-responsible. So you cannot just say, okay, from now on, from tomorrow, we want to be co-production, do co-production of solutions together with government. You have to understand how that works. And that's an important thing. And how that can be done, multi-stakeholder governance can be, how to get the best out of it. It can be done in platforms, for example, where all relevant stakeholders are together. In Europe, this has been done, and suddenly it was stopped, and that is very bad, of course, for the trust. It also can be in a specific ways per policy area, that you select certain stakeholders and work with that. The meta governance or governance for sustainability explains, in fact, how you can combine different governance styles, not to undermine them. And for multi-stakeholder governance, this is important. It's also important to combine, to take into account that it's not only multi-stakeholder governance, but at the same time, there is a multi-level governance between the levels of governance, and a multi-sector governance between the different, agriculture, transport, environment are different policy sectors. So it makes it complicated, but the combination is the real challenge. The question, and also important question, is what kind of stakeholders are important in a multi-stakeholder environment? Well, I have a lot of experience in that from working in the ministry. And one thing is, do not select only the vocal minority, the stakeholders who have the loudest voice, but maybe represent only a small portion of the society. There's also a silent majority, and they also should be represented and they found. Try new stakeholders also to get involved. For example, when I was working with stakeholders like farmers organizations, I discovered that there was a young farmers organization, and they were much more progressive than their fathers, than the old farmers. So it's important to not always take the usual suspects, but find new stakeholders. And also watch out for fake NGOs, fake stakeholders. They are. Some companies sometimes create a website and a small NGO, and but they only represent the interests of that company. That happens a lot. It's everywhere. So you have to watch out for that. Generally, I think, and now I'm closing now, governments need the support of multi-stakeholder platforms and their engagement. It's a necessity. If it's not there, my advice is try it out. Go a little further than your government think it is possible. If you want innovation and nobody likes it, you always can call it a pilot. Pilots are always more acceptable than real change. And if it is a success, everybody will embrace it. I think investment in multi-stakeholder partnership and multi-stakeholder partnership and platforms pays it back in terms of better policies, better support, and better implementation. So it is a real important and good thing to do. And this was very short and maybe even too long. Sorry for the bad connections. I hear a lot of loud music in my background. But I hope this was at least start with some thoughts. Thank you, and success for the rest of the event.
Talk through this moment, and apologies, but we are very grateful that you could join us here in the end, despite the Wi-Fi difficulties. But thank you for sharing this global vision on the multi-stakeholder governance and how this horizontal learning combines with your academic background, with the practical and local experience that you were mentioning in different UN bodies and on the ground and different parts that make this implementation. Your remarks remind us the importance of creating inclusive and sustainable structures based on this multi-stakeholder governance. Thank you very much. Now we turn to a key figure in global civil society engagement with the 2030 agenda. Oli, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. So it's great to join you. I'm afraid I'm also in New York, and I think I may have even worse background noise. So I apologize for that. But it's good to be able to join you at this time, and it's good to be able to share some insights. I've just come out of the end of the high-level political forum, and we had, as you might have seen, there was a very tense situation because there was a series of votes on the ministerial declaration. So we are in a very different global position, I think, now to where we were in 2015. So like some of you on this call, I've been following the dialogues since 2015, and I've been involved with many of the negotiations every year at the high-level political forum. And I want to just let you know about the key ways that you might engage them. So we have a number of different stakeholder groups that are recognized by the UN going back to Rio in '92. There were originally 9 major groups, which you might have heard about, NGOs being one of those, but a number of other major groups. I'm one of the organizing partners for the NGO major group. There were also women, indigenous peoples, children and youth, business, trade unions, also farmers, local authorities. And since then, that grouping has also expanded further. So in 2015, additional stakeholder groups were recognized, and that has continued to grow. We have LGBTI, we have volunteers, stakeholder group, persons with disabilities, Most recently, also people of African descent were recognized as an additional stakeholder group. So we now have 22 major groups and other stakeholders, and we collectively engage at the HLPF, at the UN, the high-level political forum. And we have a number of opportunities to engage. We have a dialogue, a regular dialogue with the president of the Economic and Social Council, and we are able to bring speakers on each of the different panels. So over the last 10 days, we've had speakers, as you will have seen, interspersed throughout all of the panels. We've also had key speakers after every VNR country, and these are collectively drafted statements that are put together by a range of different stakeholders in the country to actually respond to the official voluntary national review, the VNR. And those have happened over these last few days. We now got to a position where the ministerial declaration, which is the main outcome document, that had been negotiated over many months before we even came to the HLPF, but it was still being negotiated right up until today. And there were a number of amendments tabled, including the United States actually called for a vote on the entire ministerial declaration and was calling into question the entire 2030 agenda. So we are in quite a challenging position, but we really appreciated the strong endorsement of the president of ECOSOC, the ambassador of Canada, Bob Ray, also DESA, the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, made sure to keep the space open for us. And we hope that many of you have been able to follow the sessions online, and that you are able to continue to engage. And if you are interested to keep in touch, then please do also find a way to join the NGO major group. We will be already starting to prepare for next year's HLPF from January of 2026, and you'll have an opportunity to feed into the various position statements and the VNR statements. Next year, also 2026, we've been told there will be a review of the HLPF and ECOSOC. And so it's a good moment for you to feed into some thinking on that. And then following that in 2027, there'll be an SDG summit, which happens every 4 years. So you have some opportunities to engage. I'm very glad to be here, and I'm available to keep in touch afterwards. I think Carlos is able to share my details. And apologies again for the background noise where I am as well. But wishing you a very good session. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Ali. No background noise. No, but really thank you for this important reflection, especially now that the 2030 agenda is suffering through many challenges, as you mentioned, the tensions and the VNR, the declaration, all of that, but also reminding us of why these HLPF is very important, and talking to us a little bit more about the insights and the opportunities that there are for civil society. And of course, thank you for your efforts in strengthening civil society participation in sustainable development. Your work only reminds us of that meaningful governance starts by ensuring that every voice is heard and valued in this kind of international spaces. Now, we welcome a key civil society representative from Chile, Carlos. The floor is yours.
Gracias. Thank you very much, Alejandra, for your kind introduction, and thank you to everyone here today for your presence and participation. Yeah, it is truly inspiring to see so many commitment individuals gathered in this space, ready to share, listen, and create pathways toward sustainable development through inclusive and collaborative governance. Yeah. Next, Diana, please. So, good evening from Latin America, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us from around the world. We're pleased to have participants from at least 27 countries representing every region, yeah? Africa, Asia, Europe, Americas, and Oceania. This diversity reflects the essence of the multi-stakeholders governance, building shared solutions through dialogue, respect, and collaboration. Thank you for being here. and let's make this a truly global and local and inclusive conversation. Next, Diana. For a country to be truly considered as having sustainable development, it must ensure 5 key elements about your reflections. Yeah, social justice, ethical governance, environmental sustainability, fair economic development, and transformative education. These pillars must be guided by equity, participation, and respect for diversity, always grounded in local realities and aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainability must speak the language of each territory, its story, its people, and its ecosystems. Yeah, this synthesis is based on the voice of participants, analyzed by the Atlas T research assistant with AI, which helped identify shared themes across response. The same method that here was applied to the next question, which look at how multi-stakeholders governance should be structured to advance sustainable development. So, Diana, the next, please. Multi-sectoral governance should be built as an inclusive and participatory system where the state, civil society, the private sector, academia, and local communities, especially those historically marginalized, work together in decision-making. Yeah, it required a permanent space for dialogue and action. Decentralization with real autonomy and resources and strong mechanisms for transparency, like open data and public monitoring platforms. Yeah, about all, it must foster a strategic partnership that promote innovation and ensure current. Yeah, and this is very important in this time. Yeah. For the last, with the shared visions and commitment in mind, we now open this space for dialogue, learning, and collective action. Yeah, let's listen with attention, speak with purpose, and build bridges across our diversity experience. And now, I'll hand it back to Alejandra, who will continue guiding us throughout today's conversation. Welcome once again. Alejandra, el piso es tuyo.
Thank you so much, Carlos. This was a very inspiring message that connects the social fabric of challenges in sustainable development and reminding us through your own experience how multi-stakeholder governance should be structured to reflect local community necessities. We see how governance is also an active recognition and of construction of a fully developed and inclusive society. Now, we're passing on to the national experiences, to this panel where we have representatives from 4 different contexts in the Global South, Chile, Colombia, Nepal, and South Africa. And you will hear from 4 people who have incredible experiences. And I invite you to listen really closely to what they're saying. Panelists, please remember that you each have around 7 minutes to share reflections focused on the most relevant aspects of multi-stakeholder work in your own country, addressing the achievements, the challenges, the institutional cultural resistance that you have encountered, and all of the lessons learned in the context of the implementation of this 2030 agenda. Next one, please. Diana, la siguiente. Yeah. These are our 4 amazing panelists. It's really an honor to have you here. We're gonna hear first from Reynalina Chavarri, representing Chile. She is the director of Sustainable Observatory of the Faculty of Economics and Business of the University of Chile and academic representative to the National Commission for Sustainable Development. Professor Chavarri, please, the floor is yours.
Gracias, Alejandra. Muchas gracias. Many thanks to the organizing institution and individuals who make it possible to showcase what our country. Natalia and Jared, nice to meet you too. We would especially like to thank Carlos Miranda for his leadership and his team in bringing this initiative.
La siguiente, por favor.
Okay. Chile, despite its regional leadership in areas such as the energy transition and the circular economy, face the same structural challenges as the rest of the region. The current governance structure, supported primarily by presidential decrees in 2019, has revealed its fragility, lacking a robust legislative foundation to guarantee its continuity and multi-stakeholder openness. But the leadership, the regional leadership, and the Chile now have a National Commission for Sustainable Development, CNDS, represent a pioneer experience in Latin America in multi-stakeholder governance. Chile's National Commission represent a pioneer, but emerging as a response to exclusion of civil society from official institutions following the 2015 social unrest and consolidate after the 2023 on high-level political forum. The CNDS was reactivated by citizen initiative as an inclusive, decentralized, and permanent mechanism. This initiative has actively integrated representatives from civil society, academia, and the other private sector, youth, international organization, and state observer. Finally, the developed strategic plan 2025-2027 takes place in a context characteristic by multiple tension and opportunity. Achievements. Among its main achievements are the articulation of a core team representing social sector, the collective construction of the 2025 to 2027 strategic plan, which defined 5 objectives that include the institutionalization of the CNDS. In addition, a long-term vision, Chile 2045, was consolidate the result of multi-stakeholder deliberative process. This was achieved in parallel with the Forum of Latin American and Caribbean Country 2025. Challenge. Next. Thank you. However, the CNDS face significant structure challenges. The institutional fragility of the current framework, which rely on presidentialist decree without legislative support, exposes the process to political discontinuity. Inclusion gaps also persist, affecting indigenous people, rural youth, migrants, and other historical marginalized groups. Next. Resistance. One of the greatest obstacles has been institutional resistance to the opening of binding participation mechanism. Supreme Decree of 2099 eliminated any form of national civil society coordination with the 2030 Agenda National Council, promoting the self-convening of organizations to create the current CNDS. Tension also persists with sectors that see their privilege threatened by proposal for decentralization or democratization of strategic decision, as well as technocracy that prioritizes efficiency over substantive and direct citizen participation. Next, lesson learned. In Chile, the experience of the CNDS shows that truly multi-stakeholder governance requires political will, socially legitimized, and operational frameworks that transcend the current government. The self-convening of civil society demonstrated the institutional change. The next, please. Finally, we will watch a short by videos and picture about the Sustainable Development Commission and its strategic planning work in Chile 2025 to 2027 for fair, territorial, and sustainable governance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. First of all, thank you for reminding us that even though you faced multiple challenges and resistance, different stakeholders, you achieved to consolidate national coordination and to bring forward the citizens' participation, and that is something very, very valuable. And as you mentioned, political will and to be legitimized is something very important. So thank you very much for sharing all these insights of your experience that highlights the importance of the institutions and multi-stakeholder intersectional collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra.
No, go ahead. Now we pass to Colombia with Natalia Calderon. Natalia is the coordinator of Sustainable Development Goals at the National Planning Department, which serves as a technical secretariat of the SDG Commission in her country. Natalia, you have 7 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having us today and for allowing us to share Colombia's experience with multi-stakeholder governance. To begin, I'd like to briefly, can you, next? I cannot see the person. Oh, now I see it. Thank you. Next, please. To begin, I'd like to briefly share the institutional framework in which Colombia's SDG multi-stakeholder platform operates. So, in Colombia, we have the Compass 3918, which is a policy document that serves as the national roadmap for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. This document establishes the high-level interinstitutional commission for the SDGs, which is the country's top governing body for the 2030 agenda. This structure includes the SDG Technical Secretariat, composed of 7 government entities, the National Planning Department, the Ministry of Finance and Public Credit, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Social Prosperity Department, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, the Presidency, and the Department of Statistics. Next, please. In this context, the SDG multi-stakeholder platform is the official dialogue and coordination space between this high-level government body, non-state actors, including private sector, international organizations, academia, and civil society. Next, please. Now I'm going to share some of our main areas of work. First, the mobilization of financial and human resources to ensure the sustainability and expansion of the platform. The second is promoting knowledge management and exchange in order to build and enhance the capacities of key actors. And third, influencing public management cycles for sustainable development. How we achieve these goals? By leading country-level strategic initiatives, by bringing together partners and strengthening their collaborative relationships, by building local capacities with a territorial perspective, and by providing access to reliable, transparent, and direct information. Next, please. Now I'm going to share with you some of the main achievements, but also some of the biggest challenges we faced as a country in order to consolidate the platform. So we reactivated the platform through strategic partnerships and actions that promote its autonomy. We developed the region's first voluntary national report focused on SDG 2, Zero Hunger. We identified key SDG synergies to concentrate national efforts on catalytic goals that can drive broader progress. And we established a collaborative governance agreement in order to accelerate the 2030 agenda through the platform. And last but not least, the exchange of experiences with other countries in the region, such as Mexico, Costa Rica, and Jamaica. Now, what challenges remain? First, aligning the expectations by balancing formal institutional structures with the platform's more organic and participatory dynamics. An initial emphasis on formality at times constrained the flexibility needed to move forward. Different perspectives among some members regarding the role of the platform. This was useful to open space for meaningful dialogue and a stronger collective vision. Financial resources are limited, so this highlights the importance of strategic partnerships to ensure the platform sustainability. Next, please. Finally, let me share some of the concrete steps that we've taken in order to move from collaboration to results. So we are building a repository of networks, tools, and strategic information designed to influence and strengthen and facilitate access to the services and resources offered by platform members in support of the 2030 agenda. We also developed a communication strategy to position the platform as a regional leader in multi-stakeholder dialogue and engagement. And we recently designed an initiative to monitor data gaps at the municipal level with the goal of improving decision-making processes related to SDGs. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Natalia. Thank you very much. It was a very insightful example of what you mentioned of how you use this platform to not only be a space for dialogue between government and non-state actors, but also to actually achieve results with a very territorial focus, which is something very important to create real and sustainable development changes through synergies, best practices, not only inside Colombia, but also with other countries, and to focusing on results. It really is inspiring to see examples of this. Thank you, Natalia. Now we go to South Asia. We've moved from Latin America to South Asia to Arjun. Arjun Bhattarai is the president of the NGO Federation of Nepal, national coordinator of the SDG Forum, and co-chair of the Global Call to Action Against Poverty, TICA. Arjun, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sure,
So I don't have a presentation, so my apologies. I'll speak. So first of all, I'd like to thank Carlos and your team, and special thanks to the Chile civil society and who organize these important meetings and during HLPF and outside event. So I'm going to share my experience of Nepal. So as you highlighted, we have a national multi-stakeholder platform called Nepal SDG Forum, which is we established in 2016, and it's a very inclusive platform. We included not only the civil society, also the private sector, also owning this platform. So and I am convener of national this SDG forum. It's very I engage in various official and non-official process of SDG, like we did in BNR in 2017 and 2020, then 2024. So and the unique opportunity, we engage with a government official process, and also we produce our own report. So there are lots of information in English. You can visit nepalsdgforum.org. So our report. But I want to highlight a little bit our process in 2024 BNR. We actually the government recognized very highly to civil society, and they invited to in their government BNR task force. So I was in the member of the government task force to produce the BNR report 2024. So because why it's very important, because we jointly organize different multi-stakeholder dialogue to review the SDG process, and we organize all stakeholder meetings. So we have around 14 stakeholders, including farmers, LGBTIQ, youth, women's, disability, and others. So together with the government, we organize a joint meeting, and we collect the information and we produce the report. So it is very highlighted report. Even this is the very rigorous process, and also we even the government process we organize ourselves. There's a youth-led BNR, children-led BNR, disability-led BNR. So I think this is very important to share with you. Even we organize local volunteer local review in some of the municipalities, and they share their progress and all. This is one our case study that we this year in 2020 last year in 2024 we did that process. And the second important we have working with even the private sector. There's a cooperatives and the business community also working with us, and they're sharing their SDG achievement. And this is very important, and some of the unique opportunity to even the getting some there's CSR funding to engage in SDG. And third, my best practices in Nepal. So we have 4 layers of governance mechanism within the government. There's a parliamentary committee. So we are working in the parliamentary committee, and we have a high level steering committee led by prime ministers. Also we are the part of that committee. I'm a member of that committee. And there's a national steering committee led by the National Planning Commission. Also we have the part of that committee. And also there is a 8th thematic committee is a member of the National Planning Commission. Also they are very active in a national level. However, they're a little bit not inactive in the sub-national level. And as a civil society, we have over 500 NGO network and civil society working together in the Nepal SDG Forum. So this is a collective report. So far, Nepal government said that 41.7% achievement in the SDG, and we have a 301 indicator. So almost accept 14 goals. So all goals accepted by Nepal government. So also we are looking almost sometime in 2024 we review the 5 goals highlighted by the United Nations. So Nepal is very active in the SDG process with multi-stakeholder engagement, and very good ownership of the civil society in a different process. So I want to stop here, and maybe if any questions, and I can take in later discussion. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Arjun, for sharing your experience in Nepal. You highlighted a lot of the local context and how civil society is or has a very important role in reporting and making the government accountable. Thank you for sharing your experience on around this social resilience and collective action. Now we go to Jared Segay from South Africa. Jared is manager of the African Monitor, an organization that promotes citizen monitoring of development commitments with a special focus on youth and local communities. Jared, please share your screen and the floor is yours. We cannot hear you. You're on mute.
You can see my screen? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Carlos and colleagues for the invitation. And I will share our experience in South Africa. And I think as well, because we were part of the Global Forum study on whole society engagement mechanisms. I think we did a study in 10 African countries. Obviously, there are other countries in Asia, in Europe, and other countries. So we are in a process of developing a report on whole society engagement mechanisms across the globe. But when it comes to South Africa, the experience has been the initial intention of establishing a multi-stakeholder advisory bodies is still in place. It's been at the policy. It was been accepted as in 2019 that the government plans to establish a stakeholder advisory body as what we call National Forum for Stakeholder Development Stakeholders Forum. But there are other forms of partnership as well in the country, which could be sector focused or which provide opportunities for private sector, civil society, labor, and government to work on specific areas of development areas. So there are various opportunities which are both at the national level, but as well you will find them at a local and municipal levels where it provides that opportunity of engagement between different stakeholders. So in terms of the South African government is generally very much interested in supporting multi-stakeholder partnership or implementation in South Africa. The idea around the multi-stakeholder partnership or whole society approach started with the National Development Plan before the National Sustainable Development Plan as well as far as 2008. So there was this plan, and in the most recent VNR report 2019 plus reaffirmed in 2025 that the government intends to set up the South African National Coordination Mechanism for SDGs, which have multiple structures. As you can see, there is Presidential Coordinating Council, there is National Sustainable Development Stakeholders Forum, as well as a cabinet clusters, interministerial committee on SDGs, and DG's National Steering Committee. So this as an idea exists, but obviously the implementation has been very slow. There has been a repeated call by members of parliament as well as civil society for this structure to be established, but there is an interest, but there is a slight delay in that. But in terms of achievements, if you look at the voluntary national review 2024-2025, the National Planning Commission set up a writing group which brought academic institutions, private sector in form of global compact, which is the South Africa branch, which has so many organizations or businesses, as well as civil society groups, civil society plus the labor. So this is a writing group which was responsible for writing the voluntary national review report. The write-up or the specific write-up was probably led by academia, but while civil society were very much engaged in organizing the stakeholder engagement as well as the validation of the VNR report. So there was that opportunity. Business was actively participating throughout the process, and there were opportunities as well for submission periodically. So there were those opportunities. So in other words, that the whole society engagement mechanism exists by default. Sometimes it's not institutionalized, but in practice, in ad hoc forms, there are opportunities where government brings various stakeholders to work together on certain important issues. And you will see again on a voluntary local review in South Africa, the South African Association for Local Government led this process with support of ENDESA. 10 municipalities carried out their voluntary local review, which was later on integrated in the Vienna report. And then there was extensive stakeholder engagement for the VLR process, which was planned and facilitated by CSO. So at the municipal level as well, such opportunities exist. And obviously the limitation is sometimes is capacity, but the interest exists. Other platforms of similar platforms, it's not probably more institutionalized platforms is the SDG Initiative South Africa, which brings academic institutions, government, and to a certain extent civil society organizations to provide effective policy coordination and implementation across all sectors. So it's basically brokering scientific knowledge and evidence to support the implementation of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So this is, it brings together the South African presidency in form of Policy Research Service or National Planning Commission, University of Pretoria, University of Stellenbosch, and civil society, especially this South Africa Working Group on Sustainable Development or / Africa Monitor. So this is a platform which has been since 2022 and a very active platform where there is an engagement between different stakeholders in terms of enhancing the policy advice for the government. In terms of challenges, there are multiple engagement mechanisms in South Africa, not focused on energy maybe, but sectoral engagement mechanisms. So the element of coordination between those different engagement mechanisms is not in place. So the issue of fragmentation or lack of coherence is apparent, with a limited level of institutionalization, and obviously political will is a challenge, as well as some level of capacity limitations are apparent. In terms of resistance, again, it is the limited interest in institutionalization, political will, and competing priorities, or focused on current priorities. Those are some of the challenges or resistance. In terms of conclusion, I think it strengthens the existing stakeholder engagement mechanism. You will find them at the provincial level through the district development model. So those existing mechanisms need to be strengthened rather than probably hoping to establish one national stakeholder engagement mechanism, and creating a connection between the various existing stakeholder engagement mechanism maybe is the best way to move forward. And then the third element is to support stakeholder engagement mechanisms in the multi-level governance structure, especially with the district development model. It does allow for some form of stakeholder engagement mechanism, and supporting such would be a very important element. So that is in short. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jared. You talked about a whole part of how multi-stakeholder partnerships are very important, and how civil society is a key player in promoting and achieving sustainable development. You showed us really great examples of mechanisms. Congratulations on all of the achievements that you mentioned. For me, it was very interesting how not only government in this multi-stakeholder partnership, but you also mentioned a lot of private sector, which is very refreshing, and talking about the opportunities and that the interest exists. In this times, it is very, very important to have that. Diana, the presentation, please. Now we pass on to the more interactive part of this session, where all of you get to discuss with each other about. Do you have the question? Okay, so we're gonna discuss, and so we're gonna divide you into two breakout rooms. One is going to be in Spanish and the other one it's going to be in English. Los vamos a dividir en dos grupos, uno en español y uno en inglés. Si quieren estar en el español, estén seguros de poner la palabra ES para que podamos saber exactamente en cuál grupo tenerlos. Y bueno, lo que vamos a hacer es que la siguiente, por favor. What we're going to do is that you are going to discuss on la siguiente. Bueno, una antes. So you're going to have 12 to 15 minutes, and in this group, you will have different people from different countries, and you're going to start discussing around a very specific question. I will write in the chat, and at the end, you will have to arrive to a conclusion, which you will put into the form that we're going to send you, or you can start scanning it with your phone, and you're going to put there the name of the organizations, the participants, your conclusion to the answer that question, and basically that you allow us to put it into the final reporting of these events. Lo que vamos a hacer es que en estos grupos van a tener 12 a 15 minutos para discutir sobre una pregunta. Ya que tengan esta respuesta, en el código QR o en el link, en este link justo que les acaban de enviar, van a subir la respuesta a esta pregunta y tienen que poner las organizaciones y participantes que lo están haciendo y que nos están, o sea, la respuesta a esta pregunta y nos están dando el permiso para poder utilizarlo en el reporte final. Then the English group finished first. Would you like to start? Joy.
Would you want me as secretary to read what our recommendation was? Is that the idea? Yeah, let me find it. Hang on. Go back to the chat. Okay. Here we go. Well, for the English group, the summary was nature-based solutions, sustainability strategies, small local spaces, formalize the multi-stakeholder platforms, institutional alignment, various platforms need to be integrated, data sharing and monitoring, education, awareness, and the final comment, which isn't there, was local resources are essential. That was our contribution.
Oh, very interesting. Very diverse. Anything else you want to add, or should we go to the Spanish group?
Well, I was doing mostly writing down, but if one of the other people from the English group want to add something, that would be fine.
It appears not, so we will pass on to the Spanish group. Ahora pasamos al grupo en español. Por favor, díganos cuál es la conclusión a la que llegaron, cuál es la propuesta.
Yo les puedo comentar la conclusión. Bueno, todos los participantes de este grupo comparten el mismo punto de vista,
Diana,
que las
in
personas...
English, please.
In English, sorry. Okay. To conclude, all the participators in this working share the same point of view. People need to be more social participatory, and we need more protocols and methods to do that. We need to all is that.
That is all? Or did you mute?
Or maybe other person of the Spanish group.
Well, the conclusions were absolutely this, but also the importance of the territories and the trust when you start to build the institution, and the importance that the citizens be able to have an institution, juridical vehicle to can put there the voice and be able to arrive with the diagnosis and everything to the authorities and to build together. This is very important too, and from the territories.
Thank you, Daniela. Yes, very important. Well, these were very interesting proposals, which you will be reflected in the report in about a month. And now that we are reaching the end of these very enriching session, we have to remind ourselves that to weave governance is to embrace diversity, contradiction, and of course, the future. And it is just not something we implement, but it's also a practice that is ethical. And from the South, because this session was focused on the South, we have a lot of things to offer to the world to live with memory, with respect, with dignity, and with courage. As it was stated today, effective governance is not about imposition, but articulation. And today we have been witnesses of how this articulation is built through listening, collaborating, and committing with multiple actors and stakeholders. With that, we officially close our side event. We sincerely thank each and every one of you who joined us from different countries, from different sectors, from different territories. And we invite you to stay connected, to continue strengthen the inclusive governance mechanisms in your own context. And just as a follow-up, within the next month, you will receive a report with the roadmap of the contributions that we had from the panelists and your collective proposals that you put on the Google Forms. Until then, thank you very much. Wishing you all an excellent day, night, wherever you are from the world, and from all the organizers. Thank you very much. And may we keep weaving governance together.
Thank you for a great event.
Bye-bye.
Diana is without audio.
Thank you, bye. Chao, que estén muy bien, gracias.
Thank you.
In 2015, world leaders made a promise for the well-being of all people and the planet.
We need action
to reach the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. There's progress in life expectancy and disease prevention. There's greater gender parity in management positions. Many developing economies have seen a growing middle class. Safe sanitation and basic hygiene services are becoming the norm. More than 95% of the global population have access to mobile broadband networks. The future of energy is cleaner. Unfortunately, at the halfway point, only 15% of SDG targets are on track, and more than a third are stagnated or in regression. More than 780 million people face chronic hunger. More than 100 million families are fleeing war, conflict, and human rights violations. Social protection, education, and healthcare are still out of reach for too many. Human rights are under assault. With the planet warming at 1.1 degrees Celsius, extreme weather is wreaking devastation around the world. Biodiversity is being lost at an alarming rate. These global threats must be overcome with smarter solutions, renewed ambition and determination, and recognition of what has not succeeded in the past. We must commit investments from billions to trillions in increasing social protection and decent jobs, transforming education, digitalization, energy transition, food system transition, and environmental protection. To get there, we need global solidarity for the planet, for people, for generations to come.
No excuses, no delays. Promises made must be promises kept.